Welcome to the Friends of Israel's Jew and Gentile podcast. I am your host, Chris Katulka, and with me is none other than the Jewish sage himself, the one, the only, Mr. Steve Herzig. How are you, sir?
Slow on the draw, huh?
Oh, man, usually I get those guns right out like this.
Oh, man, we kind of... Well, this is Chris Katulka.
Forgot to turn up my mic.
Forgot to turn up the mic.
I got a lot on my mind, so I forgot to turn up the mic. I'm sorry about that.
In fact, that's what we first want to address as we open up the Jew and Gentile podcast. We're glad that our listeners are here, hopefully all 7 of them. Last week, Chris, you shared something from the heart going on with you medically, and I know you got a number of texts, which encouraged me. I haven't even read them.
Yep.
So I would like you to start off this podcast with first sharing, after you shared with us your diagnosis and our listeners heard. So what did they have to say?
Well, you know, Steve, I wish I could tell you right now, but here we go. Brother Chris, Steve, and all of FOI, we love, pray, and support your ministry. And it says, Chris, please know we will be adding you to our church prayer list.
Oh, boy, that's multiple prayer people.
That's right, in First Baptist of Prince Anne, Maryland. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Maryland.
To James and Susie.
So now we're more than 7. It doesn't matter. Well, every listener matters, but that means it's extended beyond our 7 listeners. People are praying a whole church now in Maryland.
That's right. I'll be praying for you and your family. May the Lord bless you and keep you. That's our good friend Susan there. Let me see. The problem is I get mixed messages because some people want stickers.
You mean some people don't want to pray for you? Mixed messages? Is that, some want to pray, some don't want to pray.
No, they want to pray, but then they also want some stickers.
Because this text number at
424-444-1948
also involves getting stickers as well as letting you know they're praying for you.
That's right. Another says, Chris and Karen, thank you for sharing with all of us your concerns with Chris's surgery. I'll be praying for you and your family. Chris, I hope this message finds you well. You'll be in my prayers as you go through this cancer diagnosis. May God grant you and your family strength, peace, and comfort. And very nice words there. And many, many more. My favorite, though, of all, all of them were my favorite, but the one that made me cry a little bit and then also laugh a little bit was your sisters.
My sister Michelle.
Yeah, Michelle told me she identified with me. She had breast cancer.
Yes, she did.
That's something I didn't
45 years old.
Same, around the same age as me, raising kids.
Yep.
And now she said, Chris, I'm a bubby now of grandkids. That was a part of my story with the Lord, and it'll be a part of your story. And can you send me some stickers?
That's our family. Yes,
that's right.
We get to the point.
That's right. But
so praying for you, but I want my stickers.
That's right. She's the best, and I'm going to send her stickers. But I do want to say thank you to everybody who's been texting in. I've a long laundry list of texts. Just a quick update. Believe it or not, Steve, I think I mentioned this. I have a tumor board, which means there's a board of people that are geniuses.
Is this like a charcuterie board?
That's like... It's like a special charcuterie board. That's right. It's a board of people that know this issue very well. And they, I had one that they were all deciding, let's just go right to surgery. Well, on Tuesday, while I was up at the Word of Life Bible Institute teaching the Gospel of Matthew, my doctor called me and he said, Chris, we're changing directions here. And I go, okay. He goes, the board met. We'd like you to do chemo and radiation. And he said... And I've heard this from others as well, that 40% of people who do chemo and radiation with the type of cancer that I have, rectal cancer, 40%, once it's done, it's gone. The whole thing's gone.
Sei gesund.
That's right. Live and be well, move on.
Good.
And so that I wish it was 80%, but I'll take 40%. But if it, either way, it's designed to zap
They could always go back and do the surgery.
That's the point.
I like something in the front of surgery.
Yeah, and because the surgery is it's life-changing.
Evasive.
Surgery. Yeah.
It's evasive.
So anyway, if you be praying, if I know that we have great praying listeners, our 7 listeners. If you just be praying, Lord, put them in that 40%. I'd like to.
Well, we know
help
Neil's church is praying.
Yes, Pastor Neil. He's actually. I'm going to talk to him later today. But Northwest Bible Church is praying down in Dallas, Texas. It's just, I genuinely feel the confidence of the Lord, and no matter what the outcome is, I'm confident in God. I'm thankful for His kindness and His mercy to me, and it honestly just makes you look at life differently. Life is just seen differently. You know, every single day, I was saying to my wife Karen, every single day, you lose sight of this when you're doing your day-to-day activity, but every day is a gift. It's just a gift, and I'm thankful for that gift.
That's fantastic. Well, Chris. We're recording this on Friday.
I know. I had a person text just a minute ago and said, well, I guess since you're doing surgery, we're not going to hear from you that much. I'm so sad, all this. I go, no, we're recording right now.
Well, you were at Word of Life, but Tuesday, even in the midst of a war, there were all kinds of pictures in Israel of people celebrating Purim.
Yeah. That's right.
Ding dong, the witch is dead. Right?
Yeah, as Israel was in the land of Purim, which is Iran or Persia.
Yep, it's quite amazing. And so the greeting, I looked up different greetings. And in Yiddish, the greeting is Freilach Purim, from the word Freilach, which means happy. And so it's Happy Purim, or Chag Sameach, which is happy holiday, or you could say Hag Purim Sameach.
Yeah.
So we didn't forget Purim. We've already talked about it on the podcast, but maybe we have at least one new listener since we talked about Purim. I hope we do.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, we know about Purim, the Book of Esther.
We lose a listener and gain a listener into 7. You know what I mean? They fall out and come back.
That's true.
To keep the 7.
That's true. So anyway, we recognize Purim, and we wish. In fact, did you have any Hamantaschen?
I haven't had any. No,
man,
I've been up in the Adirondacks of New York. How much have you had?
I've had. If they did a blood test on me because I took the poppy seed.
You'd fail the drug test.
I'd fail the drug test, and my wife hates poppy seeds. She goes with apricot or raspberry.
Did she make them or did you buy them?
Normally in the past, this is what being old encompasses, she would make them. And she does a great job.
She's made thousands of these things, right?
Thousands. This time we bought them.
Nice. From where? What's your...
Wegmans.
Oh, fantastic.
And they were very good.
Good. That's fantastic. Well, it is fitting, Steve, too, that as Purim was happening, and if you're not familiar with Purim is the Jewish celebration of when God delivered his people in the book of Esther.
Except it doesn't even have God's name in the whole book.
Nope. He's missing in there, but his presence.
But he was there all the time.
And providence and protection were guiding his people for such a time as this. And all that happening as Israel and America were allied together in defeating Iran and the brutal dictator, the Haman, I actually think Haman's name is in Khamenei. It's actually in there, Haman. And so defeating Khamenei, the Ayatollah and his regime. But Steve, you actually dug up a fantastic history.
I did, right from the resource of our White House in the United States. They have a website, the White House website.
And this is really good because it talks about...
Read just the first line, Chris, that's highlighted.
Yeah, it says, for nearly half a century, the Islamic Republic of Iran, the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism, has killed and maimed American citizens and service members through its own forces and proxy militia. And Steve, this is why this is important, because I think a lot of people are wondering, what is our purpose for being in there? I hear this a lot too. Why are we fighting Israel's war? I've heard that a lot. Why are we fighting Israel's war? This isn't Israel's war. This is as much, I would actually argue this is the world's war against Iran. And you're seeing that happen right now as we speak, where there are Middle Eastern countries like Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain, that are actually Qatar.
10 countries are being attacked. Some of them were supposed to be friends with Iran.
That's right. They thought they were buddies, and now they're being attacked, and now they're partnering with the U.S. and Israel in this attack against Iran.
Well, listen to this line, the line right after where you stopped. More Americans have been killed by Iran than any other terrorist regime on earth. And so the White House is saying President Donald Trump is doing what presidents over the past 5 decades have refused to do. Now, You could be for or against the war. I get it. In fact, Great Britain has had trouble digesting this.
That's a good way to put it.
Spain flat out rejected the whole thing.
Yep.
I get it. And yet France, of all places, Macron says yes to this.
And so Canada as well.
Yep. So I understand all that, but at least there is a reason. And that's more important. If you're against it, at least be against, you don't agree with the reason why we went.
Yeah.
And if you look at this White House website, which tells us from November of 1979 all the way to the present, all the things that Iran has done to hurt America, needless to say, besides saying death to America throughout the whole time, they want all of us dead. But these are specific attacks that have happened, and they're listed by date in order. And you might want to highlight some of them.
It fills 2.5 pages.
Yes, it does. You might want to highlight some of those, Chris.
You know, starting off right away in 1979, Iranian students backed by the regime seized the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, taking 66 American hostages for 444 days. That's what started the entire...
Well, and I remember that, Chris. It was before you were born, but what was interesting about that, all those 444 days were under President Jimmy Carter, and he was having a difficult time negotiating, trying to get them back. Ronald Reagan had been running for president during that time, and he said what he was going to do if he was elected president. And I don't think by coincidence, once he was elected, that was determined in November, by the time he was going to be sworn in, those hostages were on the plane on their way home.
That's right, coming home. In 1983, April 1983, the Islamic Jihad and is an Iranian-backed terror group carried out a suicide bombing at the U.S. Embassy in Beirut, killing 17 Americans. In 1983, in October, Iran-backed Hezbollah terrorists killed 241 U.S. military personnel, including 220 U.S. Marines and 21 other service personnel in a truck bombing at a Marine compound in Beirut. In September 1984, Iran-backed Hezbollah terrorists killed 23 innocent people, including 2 American service members in a car bomb attack on the U.S. Embassy annex in Beirut. Again, notice all of it Beirut, because at this time, Iran is beginning to move its proxy, Hezbollah, into Lebanon to influence it. And this is big because, Steve, because of the October 7th and the war that Israel had not only against Hamas, but against Hezbollah in the north in 2024 and 2025, that actually really decapitated the proxy of Hamas, or of Hezbollah, and they lost a lot of influence. Nasrallah, who was their leader, was killed. And then remember the beepers?
Oh, the beepers were great.
The beepers were a big deal. And I believe a lot of the Lebanese government has always been scared of Hezbollah. They're like a mafia. They're an Iranian mafia.
That's changing, though, now. In fact, right now, the bombing, I was watching this morning, the bombing is going on, I get mixed up, North Beirut and South Beirut. I think it's South Beirut is the location of where the group who is in favor of Hezbollah, and Northern Beirut is not. That's where the Christians are. Mm-hmm. And you're right, up until recently, the Lebanon government has been kind of hesitant because of the power of Hezbollah. Not so much anymore, as winning of the day, so to speak, from the United States and Israel. It's given them more confidence in maybe taking care of their own business.
Well, and the prime minister of Lebanon recently spoke out against Hezbollah and said, we will no longer take any military action from Hezbollah. Hezbollah is not the military of Lebanon. That's a militia from Iran. They have a Lebanese army. And so he's finally speaking up. And it kind of reminds me even of the president of Mexico, who actually killed the leader of the cartel in Mexico. And do you see what that created? It created terrorists all throughout Mexico because of how embedded the cartel is into everyday life of the Mexicans. But she stood up against them and pushed back with U.S. help. And so what happened? Terrorists. But the same is with Hezbollah. Hezbollah is a menace. It's a mafia in Lebanon. But you could go on page after page. I'll read some others here so that you can see. In 1996 of March, a suicide bomber linked the Iranian-backed Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad terror group to killing 20 people, including 2 Americans. In 1998, in August, Al-Qaeda suicide bombers facilitated by Iran-backed Hezbollah simultaneously bombed U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania, killing 224 people, including a dozen American citizens. In June of 2023, an Iran-backed Hamas suicide bomber killed 17 people, including an American citizen on a bus in Jerusalem.
Well, Chris, let me just, people could go to the website at, you just typed it in. You typed in Iran, White House.
And I'll put this in the show notes for people to see.
That's even better. But between October 2023 and November 2024, Iran and its proxies conducted more than 180 attacks against U.S. forces in the Middle East, wounding more than 180 U.S. service members and killing 3 service members. So, Chris, we want people to see this is the reason why, again, you might not agree with it, but it makes sense. Again, you might not agree. We have leaders who are for it and many who are not. But I'll tell you this, the people who are here from Iran, who are citizens of this country, they're singing "Oh Happy Day."
Oh, big time.
They are singing "Oh Happy Day." And that tells you a lot when people who come from a particular country who got out because of terrible persecution are now seeing a window open. And it should be interesting.
And let's not forget, too, 80% of Iranians that are in Iran right now do not like the Ayatollah, the Islamic regime. Not that the Ayatollah is even around anymore. They did not like their government. 80% of them were against.
And 40,000 of them are dead because of them.
Exactly.
That's all of a baseball stadium in the major leagues. 40,000 people.
So we continue to pray for our country and for Israel.
Them.
That's right, and for the Iranian people. And I'm praying that the Iranian people rise up and elect the person that is going to give them a future for freedom, because I think that's what they're crying out for right now. And the mission that we're on is a mission because of all of the war that's been going on, the activity of war that's been going on against American citizens, as the White House has so eloquently written out for us to see. But ultimately, we hope the byproduct of it is the freedom of the Iranian people, too.
I agree. I was listening on the radio when I was driving in, Chris, for this podcast. Donald Trump said 2 things. President Donald Trump said, number 1, there's no negotiation, only unconditional surrender. That was number 1. And by the way, he said, you got to go through me to determine who's going to be your next leader.
That's right.
Love him or hate him, he's quite funny.
Zeitgeist. All right. Well, hey, listen. But for Purim, okay, it's our little Purim present. We want to give things away for free, okay? Free. We have free stickers.
Even for my sister.
That's right. Free stickers that support Israel and the Jewish people. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem, one sticker says. Another says, I love Israel, or God bless Israel, or Israel forever. You can get these free stickers, 50 free stickers that will come right to your house by going to by texting us at 424-444-1948. And Steve, can I tell you something? I hope that this only gives more resolve for people to text us at 424-444-1948 to get your stickers that support Israel and the Jewish people, because we have some brave people, Steve, who take our stickers and they put them out. And you know what? You also get some pushback. We've had somebody who put them out at work, and guess what? Her
HR?
They said, got to take them away. Another person said that she pulled up, I think, to a Christian school, and she had a sticker maybe on the back of her car or something, and someone ripped it off. You know, this is the kind of activity that's going on, and I hope that it doesn't prevent you from getting stickers, but gives you the resolve to get the stickers.
We'll give you more to put on.
That's right. We got 50 of them. When they can rip off 50, we'll send you 50 more, okay?
No problem.
And we also have, Steve, a devotional for our listeners
Chris,
as well.
My household is up to 80. It's not me, it's my wife. I told her, man, you're going to get crowns. I'm going to get bupkis up in heaven. She's already got notes back from people who have thanked her for giving her the booklet, Finding Messiah and Passover. And you don't have to buy them. You can. And we're already in the middle of this devotional, 32-day devotional. But they can go to a website and see it free, Chris.
That's right. If you go to messiahinpassover.org, messiahinpassover.org, and you sign up, you will get a free digital download of Finding Messiah in Passover, our 32-day devotional that's connected to the Haggadah. All we did, Steve, we didn't really invent anything. We just took the Haggadah, which is already
which is what we do, simple stuff. We can't do overly complicated things.
The Haggadah is already kind of a devotional. It's already the Jewish devotional. We just put Christ in the Haggadah, and we called it Finding Messiah in Passover. I hope that you get it. So again, if you go to messiahinpassover.org, I'll put that link in our show notes. You can get a free digital download. But if you go to foi.org and you go to our store, you can purchase a physical copy of Finding Messiah in Passover.
Chris, it's evergreen. You could use this every year. You could give it as a gift. That's what my wife has done, and people they really like it. Chris, I'm going to be speaking in Omaha, Nebraska, April 1st.
Okay,
and
is that a joke?
No, it's no. Though it is April Fool's, but it is no joke. And I just talked to the pastor and told him about our website so he could prepare beforehand. And we're going to bring a few booklets as well, and we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, again,
424-444-1948.
Be sure to get your stickers, and also be sure to go to messiahinpassover.org to get your free digital download of Finding Messiah in Passover. All people for free, but you have to pay for the physical copy of the devotional. Okay.
And look, it's not like huge cash. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
$8.
We're getting bupkis.
Yeah.
It's bupkis.
That's right.
Anyway,
That's right.
Go ahead, Steve. What do we got going on?
FOI Equip Zoom session. One of my favorite things, Chris.
Yep.
It really is.
Online teaching.
To be able to present to people who don't know anything about FOI Equip, which is the umbrella to all the different ministries that we have, Chris. These ministries have been going on really since COVID. We started. All because of COVID and everybody being on Zoom, we began classes, teaching that started with 30 people and has now, I think, we are up to a couple thousand who are registered for possible courses.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Well, not everybody knows about it, so we have these informational opportunities where they come for a half hour, 40 minutes, and we just share all the different ministries in North American ministries under the umbrella of Equip, and let people know about trips to Israel that we have, encountering the Jewish people in New York and Philadelphia, and volunteering in the Jewish community at a time now when it would knock their socks off when they see, especially during this war that was going on for so long, when our people went to the Jewish Community Center in New Jersey and saw that we were volunteering. Why are you doing this? And we just care about you, unconditional love. It creates all opportunities. So this information meeting is just that. There's nothing to buy. We don't ask anything of you. We are telling you what we do. And if you're interested, you can
get involved.
Yeah,
it's really important to get involved. You know, Steve, I've got two gentlemen up in Canada who are
gentlemen.
That'll
be the first two we've had.
That's right. Two gentlemen that want to serve with Friends of Israel full time. And I had an interview with them. I was talking with them, and I said, you know, what got you into Jewish ministry? One of them's a pastor. Another one has been somebody who's been studying the Bible for a long time and just feels called to go and to serve and show the love of the Messiah.
Does he live in North Carolina?
No, it's Canada.
Oh, both in Canada.
Both in Canada.
Because I got a guy in North Carolina who's supposed to be interested.
Oh, yeah.
And he's a Tikva guy.
Oh, yeah, Glenn. And so the two guys up north, though, in Canada, I asked them, when did you get, interested in Jewish ministry? And they said, October 7th.
Interesting.
Both of them, October 7th. Changed everything for me. And I go, oh, it's so interesting. I would love to know how many people started to think bigger about loving the Jewish people, understanding what's happening in Israel as a result of October 7th. So I don't know who, if you're listening right now people come to understand more about the Jewishness of the Bible. Jesus is Jewish. The apostles were Jewish. The more and more that you kind of dig into this and you learn more, you want to get involved. Well, we want to provide those ways for you to get involved by going to our interest meeting, and that's going to be March 12th at 2 p.m. Eastern time. That's right, a nice little lunchtime.
We've never done a lunchtime information session.
Yeah, so this is going to be something normally we do it at night, and I'll be honest with you, I'm excited that we do it during the day.
I'm glad I go to bed.
That's what I was saying. And so again, you can find out about this by going to foiequip.org, and you can sign up for Dan Wallace's class on Can You Trust the New Testament while you're there as well.
And Chris, we still want to remind people of the expansion that NAM, North American Ministries, is taking as we continue to work towards establishing a ministry in Mexico, particularly, but not exclusively, in Mexico City.
And I just met with our Vision Mexico team. In May, they're going to start FOI boot camp in Spanish. And we're going to have people from Mexico log on, and this will give them the opportunity to become volunteers in Mexico to see if we can't start a ministry with the Friends of Israel in Mexico. We've got a lot of people that are interested, and it's the word is spreading, and that's a good thing. And so we would like your participation as well, not only praying for the Vision Mexico, but we need to be able to take our resources and turn them into Spanish-speaking materials. The Spanish-speaking world is the world where the gospel is spreading,
and we've been we've not been open to that. Nobody speaks Spanish until recently, and so that's been a closed opportunity.
For our organization.
For us.
People have been speaking Spanish for a long time.
Sorry about that. I speak as a FOI person.
Yeah.
When I say nobody speaks Spanish, that's in FOI, but not anymore.
Yep.
And in fact, some of the newer personnel that have come on are the very people that are very excited about this. So they're new, they're trailblazing, and there's something exciting, Chris, in an organization that is over 80 years old, approaching 90 years old, in just 2 years, kind of has the excitement of a startup.
Yeah.
There is that excitement of being on the first floor, if you will, the foundation of a brand new outreach, and reaching out into Mexico with the newest members of FOI makes the older people like me, very excited.
Well, hey, if you want to be a part of what's going on in Vision Mexico, to be able to minister to our Jewish friends in Mexico and to build a team in Mexico City and abroad, please, you can give by going to foiequip.org, and you'll see a little donate button there, and bada bing, bada boom, you can be a part of what God is doing to continue to expand biblical teaching about Israel and the Messiah, and to make sure Christians know, not only in the importance of ministering to their Jewish friends and how to training them, but also to be able to understand biblically what Israel is to God. Again, all that is so important, and you can do that by going to foiequip.org and hitting that donate button. All right, Steve.
Chris,
here we are.
We're continuing with Minutia in Genesis, and you have never liked this title, which is fine with me.
No, I like the title.
It's not relevant, Minutia, because we've covered big things. Well, I even admit that as I purchased a brand new book, Chris, in fact, 3 of them. I'm going through, you retire, and all of a sudden I'm reading like crazy. Dennis Prager, and I followed Dennis Prager, PragerU, his radio program. I personally have prayed for Dennis Prager for a number of reasons.
I've interviewed him on the radio program early on.
There you go.
With his book on the 10 Commandments.
That's right. That was a while ago.
Yeah.
I do remember that. Well, he had an accident about 2 years ago, approaching 2 years, maybe a year and a half ago, that left him so badly injured, he was on a ventilator for a number of weeks, and they thought he would never even speak again. He's still paralyzed from the shoulders down. But this new book that he wrote actually came about of a project that he had in mind before his accident. And the name of the book is There Is No God, The Battle Over Who Defines Good and Evil. It goes back to a time when he was speaking back in the early 90s, Chris, to some teenagers. And he said, that would have been gone. I mean, I spoke, it would have been over, but he didn't know one of his a person who really loves his teaching and loves his speaking tape recorded it and kept it. And he started the book by using the tape recording and going through the book. But then he had the accident. And the very person who recorded it was the person that helped him finish the book.
Oh, really?
Even in his condition.
Really?
Yeah. And the name of the book is If There Is No God, The Battle Over Who Defines Good and Evil. So, in getting the book, I thought to myself, wait a minute, that's the very first verse in the Bible. Mm-hmm. In the beginning, God. Mm-hmm.
Look, this is why this title is so funny to me. The Minutia of Genesis. And now we're talking about creation and God creating all things. That's
but
anyways,
I agree. Look, what in my notes to you, what does it say at the very it says Minutia in Genesis, and what
Oh yeah.
what
Maybe
do I
not
write?
this week.
Maybe not this week.
That's right.
It might not be Minutia this week.
I just love it.
I'm telling you, I couldn't help it, because in the beginning, God. Now, Chris, I remember reading Rashi when I was in third grade elementary school. The second half of my first year in Hebrew school. We are learning Hebrew. We're translating, and we start with "In the beginning, God." Mm-hmm. From a Jewish point of view, there's no defense of God. There's no proof text towards God. Moses is writing under the inspiration of Scripture, and God has already powered them out of the most powerful nation on the planet. There's no need to prove God. They just saw it.
That's a good point.
It's huge.
That's a good point.
We don't need any proof.
Yeah.
The parting of the sea.
That's right.
The manna from heaven.
That's right.
I mean, what more do you want?
Okay, you created everything. We get it,
But for future people, obviously. So, interestingly enough, I found out, which I didn't think about, in the beginning, God is in Genesis chapter 1. In the beginning was the Word, is John chapter 1 and verse 1. So you got Genesis 1:1, John 1:1, and then in Mark chapter 1 and verse 1, the beginning of the gospel. Mm-hmm. Those are the three places that start a book in the beginning.
Yeah. And you could even say Matthew says that this is the genealogy of... Yeah.
That's not the same.
It's not the same. You're exactly right.
But there are three places. Either way. And so as we think about the beginning and God creating, Chris, I just decided there are many people who have problems with this. Answers in Genesis had a ministry of 50 years or so, maybe a little less, of answering these kinds of questions. And it's a great website to go to, Answers in Genesis, to find out lots of information about the fact we just look at what God created. Chris, I just took down a few statistics here. The universe spans a diameter of 150 billion light years.
It's just mind-blowing.
Light years. The universe is expanding, but no one knows how far. The expanding universe, I remember when they first discovered it, I was in Chicago, or at least when I first heard about it, that the universe is expanding. So I hung around Northwestern's science department. I was handing out literature from Creation Research Institute at that time, and talked to people about God. God is eternal. There's no beginning, no end. It would only make sense to leave his DNA in his creation. So the idea of no finite universe created by a non-finite God, it just makes tremendous sense. How about this? The sun is 400 times larger than the moon, but also 400 times as far away, so they look the same.
That's amazing.
That freaked me out. Only God could do something.
That's right. It's interesting that I don't take too much from the popes, but I think it was Pope John Paul. They were talking about evolution and creationism, and he says, I have no problem with the Big Bang. And, now he's got my attention, and he goes, bang, God created the world and the universe. And I go, I'm down with that. I can handle that.
That sounds fine to me. Then there's some human body. He created the human beings. Chris, I like this one. Each eye has over 2 million. The eye has 2 million working parts, and they process visible information at an astonishing speed. The eyes are also incredibly sensitive, able to detect a single photon of light in complete darkness.
That's
There's
amazing.
10 trillion cells in the human body.
Amazing.
How does that just happen?
I know.
It's just... Anyway, so Chris, as I think about in the beginning God, I know that in the United States, we were birthed on in our Constitution.
Yeah.
It says we are blessed with unalienable rights. The idea that we're endowed by our Creator. They weren't advocating a particular religion, but they were acknowledging that in the beginning, God. It's our foundation. And so I got from Dennis Prager's book this quote. I don't know if you want to comment on it. It says this: I'm an American baby boomer.
Yeah.
You're a child of a baby boomer.
Mm-hmm.
The American baby boomer generation is less religious and less patriotic than its parents 2 generations later. We have the least religious, least patriotic, least likely to marry, least likely to have children, and most depressed generation in American history.
You know, it's funny that you say that. My dad was a baby boomer. I think 1960s still like a 1960?
I think it's 64.
So 64 and below?
Yeah.
All right, so my mom was a baby boomer.
No, 64. Yeah, 64 and below.
Yeah,
You're
so
right.
my mom would be a baby boomer then too.
She's right at the border.
Yeah, and so she, it's funny because they weren't terribly religious at all until my mom became a believer. And then all of a sudden, it's funny, I think they started cueing into a little bit more about the patriotism of the country, not because you become a patriotic person because of the Bible, but I think the Bible started developing their ethics and morals and about the things that matter the most, and then how you vote for those things. You know what I mean? But all that to say, it's very fascinating that this comes out because my mom and dad weren't, in growing up, they were not necessarily like the most religious. We didn't go to church all that much and things like that. But then when my mom became a believer, every Sunday we were going to church, and it became very much a part of our family and our DNA and all of that. So it is interesting to hear that as well.
Well, I went to a website called American Atheists. And we'll put that in the show notes.
Yep,
will we,
it'll be
Chris?
in there, yep.
And so it opens up. So I didn't even know there. Look, you just type anything in the computer, you'll find. I'm telling you.
It's true.
I said, how many atheists are there in the United States? That's what I put down.
You know what's funny is many years ago, I was talking with a woman named Sonia Reschler, who I think still,
very much friendly to the Friends of Israel.
She used to work here, and she still does volunteer work here. She's an amazing woman, and she came in one day and she was saying, I used to do research.
She did.
For Will Varner when he was developing the Institute of Biblical Studies, and it would take me he'd say, I want more information about this particular subject. So she'd have to go to the books, and she said, Chris, it would take me 3 days or 4 days to get all the information for Will so that he could be able to present it and put it in a curriculum. And I'm thinking 3 or 4 days, that takes about 4 seconds now. It takes longer to type than for the information to come to you. And that's just mind-blowing to think about.
It's true. And she was in the library, which was the main library for the school when it was here at Friends of Israel.
But this is just the 80s and 90s, you know? This isn't like 1960 or 20s or what. This we're talking about just a couple decades ago. And now you're like, hey, what's going on, internet? And boom, it pops it up.
And so the American Atheists, it starts off, there are now more atheist voters in the United States than ever before, numbering more than 65 million atheists, and the non-religious make up the largest religious demographics in the nation's election. Each year, the number of religiously unaffiliated voters continues to grow, with more than 40% of younger millennials reporting no religious preference. So, Chris, it doesn't frighten me. It doesn't even surprise me, but it correlates that very first verse in the Bible, in the beginning, God was accepted by big-time majority. I just watched, and I sent it to you, Billy Graham interview with Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
I grew up, my dad watched Johnny Carson, and when I knew there was no school the next day or whatever, I could stay up late and watch on his opening was always very funny. But he had Billy Graham on in 1973. And Billy Graham in that interview said, the overwhelming majority of Americans believe in God. And back in 1973, I'm sure he was right, which just shows you that in 53 years, 53 years, it's gone to 65 million don't.
Yeah.
And
Steve, I've always thought to myself, I don't know if Billy Graham would even have a ministry if he started today.
That's interesting
because if you listen to Billy Graham preach, which he was one of the best, everything that he's speaking to people who don't know, like he's sharing the gospel, he still always goes back to the Bible. And people took the Bible as even though they might not have been believers, they still had they understood the Bible to be some level of divine authority from God. And so when he would use scripture, they would respond to the scripture. And it would all make sense. I don't know if that could happen with 65 million. I don't know if you could use the Bible.
Well,
could you use it? That's the question.
Well, the interesting thing is, in that interview, which I've sent it to you because you got to watch it, the thing that's so interesting is he was reporting, he had just come back from the Far East, and he was in Korea, and there were 1 million people live there physically.
That's crazy.
1 million people, and Johnny Carson, they had video of it. And he said this, he said, the Church of Jesus Christ is going to become more powerful in the Far East than in America.
Amazing.
And we're right now today,
seeing that happen.
The hub is not America. We have a lot of resources, thank God. God has given American Christians a lot of resources, and we praise God for that. But it's shifting, and it's almost though he was a prophet in saying that. And they showed the video. People spent all night waiting to hear him speak because there was an authority that they respected, and the authority, the information that he had being the Bible.
Steve, could you imagine today, just thinking about this, Johnny Carson of The Tonight Show, NBC, had Billy Graham on to talk about the Church of Jesus Christ, sharing the gospel.
Which he did. It's real clear.
And he's with Johnny Carson, and Johnny Carson having a serious interview with him.
And respectful.
Yeah.
It was such a respect. He talked about, I'm not a good person. He said, well, either am I. We're all sinners. He said, Ed McMahon, you're a sinner. Johnny Carson laughed his head off, and he said, you're a sinner and I'm a sinner.
But today, could you imagine Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel or who's the other guy that's getting booted off of CBS? I forget his name. But could you imagine if they had an evangelist on to talk about what they're doing overseas to share that's how much we've changed in our culture.
100%. But Chris, I decided to go outside America, and there's some statistics. You want to read some of them about other places where the majority of population are atheists.
Yeah, so you have 50% of Americans are absolutely sure that God exists. But then 65, you said 65 million atheists in the United States. There's 65 million atheists in the U.S. Non-belief is highest in Northern Europe, Japan, and formerly communist nations, with rates up to 55% in the Czech Republic. Sweden estimates suggested a very high range as well, from 46 to 85% atheists and agnostics. Vietnam also shows very high numbers, with some estimating over 80%. Czech Republic, again, we had mentioned that earlier. Czech Republic frequently cited as having the highest percentage in Europe, around 72 to 76 non-believers.
Go to Israel, Chris, on the next page.
Yeah, Israel, let's see here. Wait, did I jump? Oh, Israel, approximately 20% of Israeli Jews do not believe in God. According to a 2024 Pew Research Center data report by the Times of Israel. While a large majority of Israelis express some form of belief, the self-identified quote-unquote secular population makes up roughly 40 to 50% of the population, with many practicing cultural traditions without strict religious belief. This is something I learned in the years of going to Israel, is that there's a difference between in Israel, there's a difference between an atheist and a secular.
100%.
An atheist is somebody who doesn't believe in God. A secular is somebody who doesn't believe in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Specifically, the God of the Hebrew Bible and their God. They might believe in a higher power. They might be spiritual, whatever the case might be. But that puts them in the category of secular, where an actual atheist only makes up, well, I mean, it's still a big number, but 20% of Israeli Jewish people don't believe in God at all.
So we have in the beginning God, Chris, and then going back to Dennis Prager's book, he cites the most secular century in history. So this is people who don't believe in God. So in the beginning, God, forget about it.
Yeah.
So he says the most secular century in history was also the bloodiest in history, as he says, and he's talking about the 20th century. Between Nazism and communism, two secular doctrines, approximately 150 million non-combatants were killed. Margaret Thatcher, he quotes from 1998, said this, and I agree with her. She said, the moral foundation of this system, the Judeo-Christian outlook, the message of the Old and New Testament, that each and every person matters. Mm-hmm. That's, Chris, the chances are, if a person believes that in the beginning God, they will also believe that each person matters. And the proof is our country.
Yeah.
And by the way, Great Britain.
Yes.
In the past, and all of Western civilization had a foundation of belief in the beginning God. We're not talking about were they born again? Were they not born again? They just believed that, yes, in the beginning God. It makes a huge difference than if you're atheist. And his proof is here was a group, whether it's communism or Nazism, which put God to the side. They killed millions and multi-millions of people.
That's right. And again, this whole concept, like you're saying, that being created in the image of God is what gives the value. But you don't have value if you don't understand. A human doesn't have value if you don't understand what the scriptures teach. It all is grounded right in the very beginning, in the first chapter of the entire book of the Bible. And that's actually something that you and I were talking about before the show started, is the difference between values and the difference between feelings. And that's kind of the issue that we have right now.
And that's the point of Dennis Prager's book, is that if there is no God. And he challenged the students with 3 questions, Chris. There were 3. I like the first one. The first one is this. If the life of your dog, is the life of your dog worth more than the life of a stranger? If you had a dog, your dog, a pet lover's dog or cat, if you're a cat person, drowning. But right not far was a person you didn't know. Who you going to save?
Yeah.
The students that he writes about, it was about 30 to 40% were going after their dog.
No, he would do this on the radio program and have people call in and they'd say, no, I'm saving my dog. And he goes, you wouldn't save the human? Nope, I don't know that guy. I'm saving my dog. You know, so it's a great question because it shows where it's a question of values. You know,
feelings is what we want to do, he says, which I agree with. Values is what you must do. You hold certain values. And if you believe in the beginning God, as Margaret Thatcher, I don't know where she was theologically or where she was in her spiritual walk, but she understood that when she thinks in terms of the culture, that it's important to believe in God because of the value of human life. Mm-hmm. And so these students, after they had conversation about the dog and the person, with some pushback, humorous pushback. You got to read it. But the bottom line, some minds were changed. Mm-hmm. They were actually changed because he went back to this. This is back in 1993 in Omaha, Nebraska, so Midwest. But some of the students changed their minds. It's an interesting question.
It actually is a fantastic question because it gets to the heart of what people value. And I've always appreciated whenever he would do that on his show. I'd always chuckle at what people say, you know?
Well, Chris, for me through the years, I used to talk back when I was doing college ministry about good. People would talk about being good. Mm-hmm. if there is no God, you don't know what good is. How do you know what good is? And I'd be challenged about that. But I say, wait a minute. If you're in we talked about in Mexico, them going after the cartels. Do you know that in gang is a community. If you're in a gang, you're in a community. And you're usually in that community because you're not getting what that gang is providing for you. Security, encouragement, love, in a gang. Mm-hmm. And so what is good in the gang is not good in an overall city population.
A society.
But if you want to make it in a gang, you have to do certain things. The mafia is another example. You're part of the family.
Yeah.
But we'd say, wait a minute, those things are bad. Well, if you go by feelings, you say, well, no, that's a relative thing. Look, they're in the family. They love one another. They care for one another. They encourage one another. When one hurts, they help them. Well, wait a minute. No, thou shalt not kill.
Yeah.
Thou shalt not steal. Those are values, even though we'd say, yes, they are meeting a social need for that person. That's why the Bible, if God exists, in the beginning God, if he exists, then there are going to be certain things. I remember Ted Koppel. Ted Koppel had a show called Nightline. When the hostages that we just talked about, it zoomed out. 80% of America was watching Ted Koppel every night. I was one of them. And it came on in Chicago. I think it came on at 9:20, 10:20 on East Coast. And Ted Koppel brought up it came up, the conversation, and he said, they're called the 10 Commandments. They're not called the 10 Suggestions.
He said that.
Yeah, he said that. This is back in the
late
70s. Yeah. And the early 80s. So, Chris, it isn't minutia, but it is glossed over. Mm-hmm. And we don't, I wanted us at least to really kind of talk about it. And I was prompted because of Dennis Prager's book.
That's right. And I again, the word minutia just makes me laugh a little bit.
Me too. But in this case.
But it is very important, especially because what will set the entire tone for the whole Bible, Steve, is the fact that God is the Most High God who created the heavens and the earth. And this will be something that is constantly, it becomes the foundation of all of Scripture. That the God of heaven and earth, which I think we're going to talk about this maybe next week, not only is this magnificent, all-powerful, all-knowing God, he also stoops down to the level of his creation and asks Adam, after he sins, where are you? In a very compassionate way. Instead of punishing him, he asks, where are you? And I think next week,
we're going to talk about
where are you? Where are you? And that's, again, such a powerful thing to think that the God who created everything. Because
another minutia thing in Genesis.
Just a small little thing. The bupkis. But it all goes back to the fact that not only is he a God who is the creator, but he is a God who's compassionate and gracious. Steve, I was just, you're talking about feelings and values. I was talking with the students at Word of Life, and I always like to remind them that Jesus in the Gospel of Matthew is living out the Torah. He's living out the first 5 books of Moses, and because he was a Torah-keeping Savior, a Torah-keeping Messiah, and
we don't hear that hardly at all.
No.
We don't hear it a lot here in Friends of Israel. We know it, but when you say Torah-keeping a person, he is God in the flesh, keeping the word that he gave. We talk about the word a lot, but he was a Torah-keeping person.
That's right.
And that's something I want our listeners to kind of think about.
Yeah, it doesn't mean...
Put a yarmulke on him, even though he wasn't wearing a yarmulke.
That's right. But the thing I tried to show them was that, the reason Jesus was compassionate and gracious to people and forgiving of people and wanted to heal the weak and tend to the sinner was because that was always what God's personality is. And I've talked about this a lot because my favorite verse and chapter in the Old Testament is Exodus 34:6-7, when God says that he's a compassionate, gracious, merciful, long-suffering, forgiving God who loves, has a hesed love. And I said to the students, I said, when it says that God has a hesed love for you, it's not a feelings love. It's a concrete covenantal love that's not based on feelings. And that's so when you think about the difference between values, which you could say it's God's value, that he will always have. God's values is I'm compassionate, I'm gracious, I'm merciful, I'm forgiving, and I'm also going to love you with a chesed love, which cannot be broken. It's an unconditional love. When you think about those values of God, it gives you a bedrock to stand on no matter what's happening in life, because I think that's when feelings begin to change. You should be standing on the rock of Christ, that's his character and nature. When you recognize that those are values that cannot be changed or undone about who God is, it absolutely changes the way you think about life.
Well, and in addition, all those things are true, but he has more than only those values. He also says, "I'm the truth."
Yes.
Not I know that. It's not I know the truth. I am the truth.
100%.
That's why I went through some of those statistics as to what he created. Everything has order in it. Everything. Scientists only affirm, and biologists only affirm what already is truth.
Yes.
Sometimes they discover what God has already known. He is the truth, but he's also the way, Chris. His value, as he talked here on earth, he said, "I'm the way. I'm the way." So you say, well, I want to go I'm the way. And if a person goes off on their own and wants to go a different way, he's not going to change his value.
Yeah.
If in order to come to God, you got to go through me. It's grace, it's compassion, it's chesed that he does it.
He does it. That's right.
There is a way. He didn't have to do that, but it's his way. And people have a hard time with that.
The fact that he provided one way is grace in and of itself.
100%.
Steve, we are almost out of time.
We're
almost out of time. We're going to come back next week.
We'll do news next week. But Chris, I have to talk about the World Baseball Classic.
Okay.
We'll close with this. The World Baseball Classic. Look, I'm a baseball fan. And Israel actually made it to the quarterfinals last time. I think it was 2023. So I looked up, how do you find out? I went to the computer. I looked up the starting lineup for the Israeli team in the World Classic against, I don't even know if they'll play the United States. But for those of you, 2 of the 7 might be, maybe only 1, who are baseball fans, here's the Israeli. And they're not all Israeli. They're just Jewish. Harrison Bader from the Giants, Spencer Horwitz of the Pirates, Garrett Stubbs of the Phillies, Jake Geloff of the Dodgers, Matt Mervis of the Nationals, Troy Johnson of the Rockies, Cole Carrig of the Rockies, Noah Mendlinger of the Cardinals, and R.J. Schreck of the Mariners. Chris, I know a few of them, but I don't know them all. But listen to the United States. Would I love this team? Bobby Witt, Kyle Schwarber, Aaron Judge, Bryce Harper, Cal Riley, Roman Anthony, Alex Bregman, who could have played for Israeli
He could have been a contender.
But he wanted to, I don't blame him, he wanted to play for the U.S. And Pete Crow Armstrong. So, Chris, the World Classic is beginning. It actually started last night. And I don't know how Israel is scheduled, or the prognosticators say last place.
You know what? I will say one of our very own workers, we'll keep him nameless because I think he'd appreciate that because he's a humble guy. He was really early on into teaching Israelis how to play baseball. He was I think Israeli born, and then came to the United States,
served in the Marines.
Huge fan of baseball. And then I played softball with him. I think his boys even played on like the big Israel softball league. But he would bring all of these kids in that knew nothing about baseball in Israel, and he would teach them how to do it. Amazing ministry, amazing guy, and just thankful for that.
And they loved it. Yeah,
they loved it.
They love basketball a lot more than baseball, but either way.
All right, Steve. Here we go.
The Yiddish word of the day, I already revealed it at the beginning, but it's Freilach. Freilach is happy. Freilach. We're happy that our listeners have encouraged you in your journey medically. Purim was celebrated. And Chris, there's an app. If you're in the bomb shelter, We'll put it in the show notes. If you're in the bomb shelter and you're single, you could still find true love by going to the app. During the bombing, you can find your true love. Freilach, be happy.
It's an Israeli app Steve is talking about.
That's right.
It's an Israeli app for people who are single.
Well, we don't have bomb shelters here,
Yeah,
Chris.
that's right. It's singles in Israel, and they're in a bomb shelter, and they're single, and they're going, I got to get married. This is out of control. I need to find love. Bada bing, they got
Bada bing, bada boom. You download the app, and then you could find true love.
What don't these people
Doesn't
come
that
up
make
with?
you Freilach?
Oh, Freilach, I'm so happy. Hey, everybody, thanks so much for being a part of the Friends of Israel's Jew and Gentile podcast. And hey, don't forget to go to foiequip.org. There you can register for our upcoming class, Can You Trust the New Testament? With an expert in this, Dr. Daniel Wallace. Also, don't forget, you can get free stickers that support Israel and the Jewish people by texting me at 424-1948. And then, don't worry, you can go to messiahinpassover.org and also get your free digital download of Finding Messiah in Passover, our 32-day devotional. Hey, everybody, thank you so much for being a part of the Friends of Israel's Jew and Gentile podcast, and we'll see you next week.